First off, thank you all for coming tonight and watching our students perform their speeches. They've been working very hard. A lot of late nights and waking up really early Saturday and dedicating their whole Saturday morning, their whole day to speech, and then doing it all over again the next week. We have brought home a lot of medals this year. Conference, everybody brought home a medal, which is awesome. So please enjoy their hard work. And we will start with Kara and Callie and their duet. Yes,
This is it. This is the guy. I call him George. Giving another test today. I see you're coming. You're gonna do great.
Hi, I'm Gayla. I'm here for the driver's test.
Nice to meet you. I'm Margie.
It's your 16th birthday.
And what is every teenager excited about?
Driving. Nerves are always running rampant when this big test comes.
But let's hope your driving instructor isn't too crazy.
No matter how much time Gail has spent preparing for her driver's test, she will never be prepared for Margie.
Margie, a carelessly insane driving instructor with a need for speed, pushes Gail to her limits.
Will Gail be able to ace the test while someone is urging her to push the limits?
Find out in Driver's Test by Donzelitis. Please enter the vehicle. Please demonstrate what you do upon entering the vehicle.
Okay, first thing I do is I check my mirrors and adjust them for me. And then my seatbelt goes on. And then I am done with my pre-driving checklist.
You are?
Yes?
There's nothing else you're planning on doing?
I believe so, yes.
Nothing else comes to mind? Alright.
Should I do something else?
Do you think you should do something else?
I don't know.
I see.
Did you just put something down?
Pay no attention to my clipboard.
I'm so sorry. I mean, you seem like a great person, really. I mean, we could hang out at this if you want.
Are you sure?
Yes, please.
Yay! Alright, let's party!
Okay. Do I need to do anything else besides the car to drive?
No, I was just messing with you. You should have seen your face. You're like, what do I do? Seriously. Now let's take old Georgie out for a spin. Let him enjoy.
Okay.
Great. Please take a left on this street. Accelerate to the speed limit. Whoa! Smoothly, please.
Sorry.
Nice going. Easy does it. George likes it.
Okay, yeah.
Don't you? Nothing like driving. You know, the open road.
Should I keep going straight?
Whatever you want. Behind the wheel of a car, the world is your oyster. Oyster. See. Under the sea. Under the sea, take a right. Everything's better. Downwards better, take a right. Take it from me! Take a right! You seem tense.
I'm a little tense, yeah?
You gotta relax into it. Look at your hands.
They're at 10 and 2.
10 and 2. 10 and 2 is for losers who don't know how to drive.
But this is what Neil says to do, so I'm going to follow the rules.
No. You gotta slide them down to 9 and 3.
I can't really control the car.
9 and 3!
Okay.
There you go. That's a little better. Now when I say you're going to drop your hand to the 6th position.
The 6th position?
Did I stutter?
That's the hardest spot to steal a car from.
Correction. That's the coolest place to steal a car from.
I don't know about this.
Now!
Okay.
Now drop the other hand.
Oh no,
Now!
No. That's right. Please stop.
George with one arm. Doesn't she, Belle? Yeah, she controls it with one arm. Do you want to hear a song? Yeah, you want to hear a song. Let's do it. Put my hands up, play my song. Butterfly flies away. Not in my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. Put my hands up, play my song. You know I'm gonna be okay. Take a left. Yeah! To party in the USA. Dance, Gail, dance. Come on, you gotta dance and drive at the same time.
She's not drive.
She really shaky. I don't care, shake something.
Yeah! It's a party in the USA.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, sure.
The next part of the test now. Okay. I'm going to create a real world situation.
Okay.
You know the Applebee's on the other side of town?
I think so, yeah.
You have 3 minutes to get there.
I can do that.
You have 2 kids.
What?
Let's call them Larry and Petunia. In the back seat,
That's
they
even
have
love
a
this flower.
I'll do it. Ready?
Do it. Go. Okay.
Mom, why are you driving so slow?
I'm trying to get the speed limit, sweetheart.
Whoa. Listen, these are children. They're barely above the level of animals. You treat them nicely, don't just...
Okay.
Let's try this again. Okay. Mom!
What?
Why are you driving so slow?
You want to drive it? You want to drive this car?
There you go. How much longer till we get there?
We'll get there when we
I
get
have to
there.
go to the bathroom now! I have to go to the bathroom too. Mom, I'm going to burn!
There ain't no peeing. Hold it.
I can't hold it.
You will hold it, and you hold it now, mister. If you had to go to the bathroom, you should have done that before you left.
Go?
Bathrooms are for the weak.
Oh, ew, that's gross! Stay on your side.
Kids, please.
Ew, he licked me, ew!
Lick his sister?
Eyes forward. Stop trying to lick me! Ow, she hit me. You're mean. You're mean.
All right, that's it. Out. Yeah, both of you. You can ride the bus.
I'll be good. I like it here.
Okay then, one more round for either of you, and we're turning this car around and I'm going home.
Ding, ding, ding! And look where we are. We're at Applebee's. Can I just say something?
Sure.
I really enjoyed your race.
Really?
You're going to be a great mom.
I just kind of felt it inside.
For the record, you're going to receive bonus points if you would have managed to hit either one of the children while driving.
I think that'd be dangerous.
Totally dangerous, but completely necessary. Sometimes when you're driving, you just got to take risks. Put yourself out there.
Take risks. Okay.
Can I just say something else?
Sure.
I feel like we have a real connection.
Really?
This might be my favorite driver's test ever. We're going to do the next part of the test now. We're going to hit the highway. This is my favorite part. Just a good old George. Never meaning no harm. Please take the on-ramp. Beats all you never saw being in trouble with the law since the day you were made. Accelerate to 65 miles per hour.
Okay.
Give us some gas.
I'm already going the speed limit. Should I go over the speed limit?
Should I go over the speed limit?
Okay, no limits.
That's right, YOLO! I want to see 70.
Oh boy.
Bye. You know it's better than 70?
What?
75.
Okay.
You know it's even better than 75?
80?
That's right. You know what I'm thinking?
What?
Look at the speedometer. There's more numbers than just 80 on
Yeah.
there. Why would they put those numbers there unless they wanted you to go that much? I want to see 85.
Okay.
I want to see 90.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I want to see
I
next?
keep going faster.
There's more numbers on the speedometer.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
there's more to life than the speed limit.
I want to see triple digits. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh no.
Change the axle.
Go left. Go right. Watch out for the curve. Watch out for the squirrel. Go right. Stop. Oh my gosh, that was the best experience. We just escaped the cop moment that is going to kill me. I'm not going to be able to try to walk forever.
Totally annihilated that squirrel.
Rest in peace, Mr. Squirrel. I'm so sorry for what I have done. Please forgive me. I don't know my actions. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. No?
Are you sure? Because the stench of fear is pretty strong in here.
Did we just escape from the police?
Living the dream. Let's head back to the DMV.
Okay. I gotta say, Margie, this has probably been the toughest test of my life, but I feel so alive, you know? Like, when this test first started, I was a scared little sophomore, but now I'm a woman. You know what? I'm more than a woman. I'm like King Kong.
And pull in here. Bring us to a stop. Please exit the vehicle.
Okay. Thank you for this test.
No, thank you.
So, did I pass? 4%?
Yeah, you pretty much failed every stage.
But you were the one telling me to do these things.
8.7.
Able to be negatively influenced by other bad drivers in the vehicle?
Yeah.
So you're not a crazy person?
Oh, no. I am. Oh. But that's why they hired you. But hey, look on the bright side. And
Bright side? There's no bright
you can
side.
come back
Mommy,
and
they're
be
gonna
with us.
kill me.
Don't forget to ask for Margie. I'm so psyched to spend more time together.
Every day has the potential to be a good day. Unfortunately, life also has bad days as well. We all remember the good and bad days we have had. When you were having one of those bad days, did one person change it by showing you an act of kindness? I can remember when I was in 8th grade, I was having a downright awful day. My day began by forgetting my lunch at home, getting a bad grade on my math tests, and being teased by my classmates. I was on the verge of tears when the school janitor approached me in the hallway and gave me a gummy worm. While this small act may seem a little bit ridiculous, it made my day 1,000 times better. She didn't realize I was having a bad day. She simply wanted to say thank you for the kindness I had shown her a couple days ago. We live in a very fast-paced world, where discrimination and negativity are evident all around us. It can be difficult to see others around us who need help when we are trapped in our own thoughts and emotions. We can sometimes forget to be kind to others. Mark Twain once said, "Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." Today, we'll discover what random acts of kindness are. Then we'll learn the effects of these acts. And finally, we'll discuss the ripple effect. Let's start by discovering what are random acts of kindness. The phrase random act of kindness can be attributed to Ann Herbert. The book, A Second Helping of Chicken Soup for the Soul, published in 1993, says she wrote a phrase on a placemat in a California restaurant in 1982. It was a simple phrase: practice random kindness and senseless acts of beauty. A random act of kindness is giving your best self to others and expecting nothing in return. Kindness is not something that demands hard work because it originates from the simple act of doing no harm to others. You do not have to be religious or spiritual to be kind. Kindness is about putting other people ahead of ourselves. It's asking, how can I help this person? Not, what's in it for me? It doesn't have to be extraordinary, like paying for someone's surgery or spending hours volunteering. It can be as simple as putting a note on a friend's locker, shoveling your neighbor's driveway, paying for the person behind you in the fast food drive-thru, giving extra money at a lemonade stand, or sending an encouraging text to a friend. A little kindness goes a long way, especially with the help of technology. Today, cell phones and the internet are at everyone's fingertips. They allow us to easily engage with others around us through calling, texting, or emailing. Chrissy Matt, a writer of the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation, states that technology gives us a way to spread kindness easily and quickly to those beyond our immediate friend and family circles. Now that we've discovered what random acts of kindness are, let's examine the effects of these acts. When was the last time you experienced a random act of kindness? How did it make you feel? The article, Amazing Benefits of Participating in Random Acts of Kindness, published in 2017, says that there are many benefits of performing acts of kindness. Kindness can increase happiness, which boosts self-esteem. Kindness has a stronger effect on a person's lifespan than exercising 4 times a week or going to church. According to the Random Acts of Kindness website, Dr. David Hamilton states that witnessing or performing acts of kindness causes the body produce hormones that contribute to your overall mood and well-being. One of these hormones is oxytocin. Oxytocin causes the release of a chemical called nitric oxide. This chemical dilates your blood vessels, resulting in a lower blood pressure. Engaging in acts of kindness produces endorphins, which are the brain's natural painkiller. Kindness also stimulates the brain to produce the feel-good hormone, serotonin. This chemical calms you down and makes you happy, which decreases anxiety and depression. According to integrative psychological and behavioral science, people who tend to be more giving have 23% less of their stress hormone cortisol and age lower than the average population. Kindness also inspires more kindness, which is also known as the ripple effect. Now that we've learned the effects random acts of kindness can have, we can finally discuss the ripple effect. The Macmillan Dictionary defines a ripple effect as a situation in which one thing causes a series of other things to happen. Any act of kindness, no matter how small, can result in a ripple effect. Acts of kindness have such a positive effect on the person receiving or observing them that when the opportunity arises, they're more likely to carry out an act of kindness. This energy of kindness is then passed on to the next person. Kindness is contagious. When we are kind, we inspire others to be kind. Author Steve Emery stated in 2018 that kindness can actually create a ripple effect that spreads outwards to our friends, and then to their friends, followed by more friends and acquaintances. A Starbucks driver in St. Petersburg, Florida, experienced this phenomenon in 2014. A woman spontaneously bought coffee for the car behind her. Her small act started to pay it forward chain reaction that was 378 cars deep by the end of the day. This just shows the power of one simple generous act. Another example of the ripple effect took place in a pizza shop in Philadelphia. In an effort to help out the homeless people in the city, the owner created a plan to allow customers to spend $1 extra to prepay for a slice of pizza. He then put a post-it note on the wall. The homeless could then come in and redeem the post-it note for a free slice of pizza. In a 9-month span, over 8,000 slices of pizza were given away. The Random Acts of Kindness Foundation states that February 17th is National Random Acts of Kindness Day. However, kindness does not need a special day. Every day is the perfect opportunity to do something nice for someone else. Dozens of people can be affected when one good deed is observed in public, creating a ripple effect. Today, we discovered what random acts of kindness are. Then we learned the effects of these acts. And finally, we discussed the impact of the ripple effect on society. Kindness is essential to our well-being. Lady Gaga once said, when you are kind to other people, you're also kind to yourself. Kindness starts with one smile, one compliment, one conversation, or even one gummy worm. Imagine the kind of world we would live in if each person did one act of kindness a day, just simply to brighten someone's day.
Did you know that the average person spends 4 years of his life looking down at his cell phone? Kind of ironic, isn't it? How these touchscreens can make us lose touch. But it's no wonder in a world filled with iMacs, iPads, and iPhones, so many eyes, so many selfies, not enough us's and me's. See, technology has made us more selfish and separate than ever. Because while it claims to connect us, connection has gotten no better. And I must express first to Mr. Zuckerberg, not to be rude, but you should reclassify Facebook to what it really is, an anti-social network. Because while we may have big friends lists, so many of us are friendless, all alone. How is it that we live in a time with the most access to information, the most access to opportunity, the most access to everything? But it seems that our brains have shrunk. Our ability to communicate has shriveled, and our overall connection to one another have all but disappeared. America, land of the free, land of the brave. It's become the land of the excess, the land of the inarticulate, the land of the divided. Throughout my program in the following poems, Speak with Conviction by Taylor Maui, Can We Autocorrect Humanity by Pritzia, and America in 4 Minutes by Brandon Wellington, we will try to reconnect with ourselves, reconnect with each other, just reconnect. In case you hadn't noticed, it has somehow become uncool to sound like you know what you're talking about, or believe strongly in what you're saying. Invisible question marks and parenthetical you-knows have been attaching themselves to the ends of our sentences, even when those sentences aren't like questions. You know? Declarative sentences, so-called, because they used to like declare things to be true, okay, as opposed to other things that are like totally, you know, not, have been infected by this totally hip and tragically cool interrogative tone, you know? Just don't think I'm uncool just because I've noticed this. This is just like the word on the street, you know? It's like what I've heard. I have nothing personally invested in my own opinions, okay? I'm just inviting all of you to join me in my own uncertainty. What has happened to our conviction? Of the people, by the people, for the people. Those are the words that we put in our nation's creed. But only right here in America do we feed foreign countries while some starve in our streets. Only right here, at the age of 18, can you qualify to die in war with bombs and guns, but you can't have your first bottle of rum until you turn 21. This is America. Home of the brave, home of the wealthy, home of the rich, home of the paid. It's also home of the homeless, the hurt, and deceived, and home of natural disasters that left families in need. Some say that this is the home of hatred and home of greed. But in Philadelphia, there's the city of brotherly love. And America is home of the highly achieved. This place, this nation, it's home of the people with a bright future. It's also home of carjackers, mobbers, mobsters, gangsters, or murderers. This is America, and the whole free world has heard of us. All alone. Because friendships are more broken than the screens on our very phones. We sit at home trying to measure self-worth by numbers of followers and likes, ignoring those who actually love us. Seems we'd rather write an angry post than talk to those who might actually hug us. Am I bugging you, tell me? Because I asked a friend the other day if you want to meet up face-to-face, and they said, okay, what time do you want to Skype? And I responded with, OMG, SRS, and then a bunch of SMHs, and I realized, what about me? Do I not have the patience to have conversation without abbreviation? This is the generation of media overstimulation. Chats have been reduced to snaps that uses 140 characters, and you wonder why ADD is on the rise faster than 4G LTE. We're home of the proud, and we're also home of a lot of inventions. It's sad to say, we're also home of babies that are born with a cocaine addiction. This is the home of the red, the white, and the blue, where at times we seem to be hated by many and loved by few. Because of it, the national debt and the student loan crisis are bubbling. You know, we can't find common lines of agreement between Democrats and Republicans, but even if they did agree, I wouldn't jump to give a round of applause, because in our America, we tend to put bandages over the problems without really fixing the cause. This place, this nation, it's a place where outsiders find it difficult to become a resident. This is the place where our president can earn less than our ball players. You can watch God on television, or turn it off and put in a DVD. The ins, the outs, the good, the bad, it's all America, and I'm proud of it. Even though in our past we started barbaric, belligerent battles where nothing good can come out of it, well, I say it's time out for excuses and time in for execution. Either you're educated or you're relegated. Either you will make something happen or you simply will not. In our America, you can stare at the ladder of success or get the courage to climb to the top. Right here in America, you can do it because you have that opportunity. But it's going to take a collection of all of us to change what is in our American communities. What will you do? Where are the limbs on which we once walked? Have they been, like, chopped down with the rest of the rainforest? You know, or do we have, like, nothing to say? I mean, has the world become so totally, absolutely filled with these feelings of, we've just gotten to the point where it's just like, whatever. And so actually our disarticulation is just a clever sort of thing to disguise the fact that we've become the most aggressively inarticulate generation to come along since, I don't know, a long, long time ago. I entreat you, I implore you, I exhort you, I challenge you to speak with conviction, to say what you believe in a manner that bespeaks the determination with which you believe it. Because, contrary to the wisdom of the bumper sticker, it's not enough these days to simply question authority. You have to speak with it, too. But get a load of this. Studies show that the average attention span of an adult today is 1 second lower than that of a goldfish. So if you're one of the few people or aquatic animals that have yet to click off or close off, congratulations. Let me finish by saying you do have a choice. Yes. But this one, my friends, we cannot simply autocorrect. We have to do it ourselves. Take control or be controlled. Make a decision. Me? No longer going to spoil a precious moment by recording it with a phone. I'm just going to keep them. I don't want to take pictures of all of my meals anymore. I'm just going to eat them. I don't want the new update, the new software, or the new phone. And if I want to post an old photo, she says I have to wait until Thursday. I'm so tired of performing in this accepted form of digital insanity. Call me crazy. But I imagine a world where we smile when we have low batteries. Because that'll mean that we'll be one bar closer to humanity.
September 11th, 2001. A day that I never could have fathomed happening. But here I am, broken. How am I supposed to carry on? My husband died in those towers. I just can't wrap my mind around this unthinkable act of terrorism. All I can do now is try to remember the good times that Henry and I shared together. On September 11th, 2001, the World Trade Center was attacked. Many people lived, and many people died. Some believe that it was God who saved all those people, but was he also responsible for the people who died? This question tortures Alana's mind when her husband is killed in the 9/11 attacks. She then begins to wonder, does God really exist? She then battles all the emotions she felt that terrible day. God, If You're Really Out There by Cynthia Ribasel. Henry and I met in high school during our sophomore year. He was on the debate team and I was on the school newspaper. I was writing an article about the state debate tournament, which Henry was competing in. I was thrilled when I managed to get an interview with him. Now, Henry had been on the debate team for quite some time, but was never bored. Henry was always passionate about debate, but he had another passion in his life, Pac-Man. Before I met Henry, I never knew that there were over 200 Pac-Man products. I got so embarrassed when I admitted to him that I have 56 posters of John Cusack all over my bedroom walls. And all Henry could do was laugh and tell me, now that's passion. Somewhere in between the conversation involving his love for Pac-Man and mine for John Cusack, I realized he was the one for me. We dated through the rest of high school, practically glued to each other's hips. After we graduated, he proposed. We got married and moved out of Minnesota to live in the one place him and I had always dreamed about, New York City. For a week now, I've been sitting all alone in our apartment. All of Henry's things sit in the exact same place that he had left them. Everything I do or see reminds me of him. I still feel as though he's going to come walking through that door at any moment. But I know that he never will. It's just me now. What have I got to believe in anymore? God? This guy? My family and I only attended church during the holidays. We never prayed. We never sang religious songs. But I still held that belief that there was something, anything, beyond this world. Not necessarily God, but just some kind of almighty being, perhaps in an alternate universe. But now, I don't know what to believe. We were having a great morning. I remember Henry being so excited about this idea that he was going to pitch to corporate. All of his hard work was finally about to pay off. We'd be able to afford that apartment we had always wanted. Start a family, like we had always wanted. I knew I couldn't get ahead of myself, but our future was at our fingertips. As he left, he told me, "Today is going to be such a wonderful day for the both of us." He then ran out the door with such a happy bounce in his step. If only I had known that that would be the last time that I would ever see him, ever feel him, ever hear his voice. Couldn't God have warned me? Somehow? At about 8:30, I got a call from Henry. He was telling me that corporate loved his idea and that they were going to promote him to upper management. I remember thinking to myself, we're really going to do this. We have such a bright future ahead of us. We hung up. And no more than 20 minutes later, my phone started ringing again. It was Henry. However, the only sound that I could hear was his breathing. It was slow and raspy, as if something was blocking his airway. I knew something was wrong, but before I could say anything, the sound of sirens began echoing from the streets. I looked out our apartment window and saw black smoke just filling the sky. I turned on the TV to see if there's any news about where smoke was coming from. And on the screen, the Twin Towers were being shown. The North Tower had smoke flooding from it as if there was this giant explosion. And that's when I realized that was Henry's office! I started screaming and begging for him to tell me if he was okay! I wanted him to assure me that he's safe and out of the building! But when he finally spoke, the only thing he said was, "Alana, I love you." But before I could respond, the line got cut, leaving only a dial left to be heard. I looked back at the TV and saw the towers slowly beginning to fall. And I just stared, hoping that when I closed my eyes to blink, all of this would just be a figment of my imagination. But I blinked, and nothing. This terrible, awful act of terrorism was a reality. Henry, a kind, sweet, huge-hearted man, was the victim of such cruelty. I mean, how can someone so marvelous be killed by something so dreadful? On the internet, I've read stories about how God delayed all of these people from getting to work on time. If these stories really are God's doing, then he prevented 16,000 people from being to work on time, resulting in their lives being spared. Then why couldn't Henry have been saved? Where was God for Henry? Henry and I used to take picnics in the park. We would lie a blanket down, staring up at the clouds, asking each other impossible questions. Questions like, would you rather have unlimited sushi or unlimited tacos? One time, I asked Henry if he would ever take his life to save someone else. He told me that he would give me his own heart if I had little time left, because he had already felt all the happiness in the world, living here, in this city, with me. Knowing that he could give someone else a chance to keep living in happiness made him feel good. You know, if Henry were here, he'd probably scold me for only worrying about him. Knowing him, he would have wanted me to be happy that those thousands of lives were spared at all. And I am. But Henry isn't alive. And for me to be able to accept that does not seem humanly possible for me at this point. But until I find the courage to move on, I have one last thing to say. A prayer. God, if you're really out there, I think you owe me a small favor. Just please, please tell Henry one thing for me. I love you too.
No, 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 no. Oh, they have to be somewhere. Oh, no. I'm out of 8-ounce cans of caffeine-free Diet Pepsi. Oh, what am I going to do? Wait, the grocery store closes in 2 minutes. I can still make it. No matter what you are out of, never be this person. I, as a grocery store employee, know firsthand just how annoying it can be when somebody walks into the store right when we're about to close. However, situations like this one and many others are what make working there so interesting. Today, we will clock in for some grocery store stereotypes, then we will scan over how to deal with those stereotypes, and finally, we will carry out with some awards that I believe I should have won by now. Now, a grocery store would definitely not be complete without its stereotypes. First of all, we have the annoying children. These 4-foot-tall, nose-picking monsters race each other down the aisles, knocking Hot Fuzz Sundae Pop-Tarts and Heinz ketchup bottles onto the floor. There are usually 3 types of children in most situations. There's the one who gets stuck in between the automatic sliding doors, the one who obnoxiously runs up and down the aisles making armpit farts, and the one actually very obedient kid who usually carries around a copy of a Harry Potter book. He usually sounds something like this. My dearest mother, I would be most grateful if you would bestow upon me the permission to ingest a small fried cake of sweetened dough that is rich in trans fats and carbohydrates. Now, another stereotype would be the person who thinks that they can carry all of their own groceries out by themselves in one trip. Now, don't get me wrong. I love watching people struggle and getting paid for it. However, this may come as a shock to you, but I'm actually not the strongest person in the world. I know, pretty crazy. But I can still at least act like I'm not struggling carrying out 12 bags of groceries. And now we have our last but most important stereotype, the Karen. For those of you who don't keep up with current memes on social media, a Karen is a middle-aged white woman with a blonde haircut that looks something like this. Karens are extremely wealthy and usually have 2 unvaccinated children who are often found in an SUV with Kids Bop, blaring on the radio. I'm gonna take my groceries to Karen's car. I'm gonna work till I can't no more. However, the defining characteristic of a Karen is their overwhelming, obsessive impulse to speak to the manager of the store. Just one slight inconvenience, and your manager basically has a 0% chance of survival. Now, all of these stereotypes can be annoying and even become your sleep paralysis demon at 3 in the morning. But a grocery store really would not be complete without them. Now that we have covered the basic types of people that roam the aisles of grocery stores, let's now discuss how to deal with them. First of all, we have the devil children. The devil went down to the grocery store looking for a box to throw. Oh, excuse me, little buddy. Could you please pick up that box so that the other customers of the store don't trip on it? Mommy, he's being mean. Look, kid, if I ever see you do that again, I will lock you in the walk-in freezer with no electronics and broccoli for supper. At this point, the child runs away in terror. Now let's move on to the person who thinks that they carry all of their own groceries out. Now you must be able to spot this person so you can prepare for him ahead of time. Keep your eye out for any white New Balance or Nike dad shoes, any khaki or jean shorts, and any receding hairlines. Middle-aged men like this are also known to crack a few dad jokes, such as, "Oh, since those bananas won't scan, they're free, right?" Oh, come on. One time a middle-aged man who looks similar to this walked into the grocery store and absolutely refused to let me carry out his 24-pack of Coca-Cola cans. Well, he had it coming. The cans fell out of the box and exploded all over his dad's shoes. I laughed for a while, but then quickly stopped when I came to the realization that I was going to have to clean it up. And now we have our last, but still, most important stereotype. The Karen. I remember my encounter with the Karen almost too vividly. That's right, people, buckle your seatbelts. It's about to get scary. The following portion of my speech contains adult content and may be inappropriate for younger audiences. It was just a typical Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, if you will. I was just minding my own business, just facing some shelves and struggling not to eat the merchandise. When I heard, excuse me, how much would it cost for you to deliver 12 roses to my daughter at school?" "Oh, well, actually, we don't make deliveries, and also, we don't even sell roses." And then she delivered her famous line, "Well, I need to speak to your manager right now!" Oh, no! I knew I had to get her out of the store, so I grabbed the weekly sales ad, knowing that the store's phone number was on it. She snatched it out of my trembling hands and gave me one last soul-piercing glare as she left. But I never saw or heard from her again. And I was so traumatized that for the rest of my shift, I hid in the walk-in cooler next to the gallons of fat-free chocolate milk. But even though I've been through a lot since I started working at the grocery store, I honestly don't think I traded for anything. Except maybe a better-paying job. Now that we have covered the basic stereotypes of a grocery store and how to deal with them, let me now show you a scrapbook of all the awards that I believe I should have won by now, having to deal with these stereotypes. First of all, we have an Oscar for Best Actor. Now, I cannot even count the amount of times I have to put on a fake smile and pretend to care about what people are telling me. Seriously? Oh, please tell me more. I would just love to hear about your 40 cats and your 9 ex-husbands. Seriously, my counterfeit fascination could beat out any of the other nominees for an Oscar. I also believe that I should be rewarded with a money management award. I get paid minimum wage, and if you don't know, that's not a lot of money. This has forced me to create habits of putting a little bit of money aside for the future, while still saving enough to eat gummy worms and Cheez-Its every day. I mean, Donald Trump will be proud of my skills. And finally, the last award that I believe I should be presented with is the Best Bagger Award. Voila! I mean, bagging groceries takes skill. I mean, if you want to do it efficiently, it's like Tetris, but with cartons of eggs and packs of Tide Pods. And not everybody can do it correctly. I mean, seriously, do you know of anybody else who has these amazing grocery bagging skills? Anyway. Today, we clocked in for some grocery store stereotypes. Then, we scanned over how to deal with those stereotypes. And finally, we carried out some awards that I believe I should have won by now. All of these things have led to a pretty interesting year and a half. And even though I know there's more insanity to come, I'm grateful for all of it. Just remember, We are open every day of the week. So if your supply of caffeine-free Diet Pepsi is running low, the grocery store is about to close, and also, no one's dying. Please, I'm begging you, just wait till tomorrow.
My school year starts off with bump, set, spike, as volleyball season is in full swing. Just before I put my volleyball down, it's time to pick up my basketball. Once basketball season ends, I lace up my track shoes. Finally, it's the end of the school year, but not the end of practice for me. As summer begins to approach, I dust off my softball glove and start to train for the next season. Growing up in a small town, I am given the opportunity to participate in multiple sports throughout the year. When one season ends, the next one is shortly starting, with little to no break. I have spoken with athletes from other states who specialize in only one sport, which leaves me wondering why choosing to be a multi-sport athlete is more beneficial than specializing in one sport. Today, we will charge into the benefits of being a multi-sport athlete. Then, we will jump into what coaches have to say, and finally, we will slide into the solutions of how we can encourage others to become multi-sport athletes. There are many benefits to being a multi-sport athlete. These include decreasing your risk of injuries and decreasing the likelihood that the athlete experiences burnout. In a study published by the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine, stated that single sport athletes are associated with higher rates of psychological burnout and dropping out of sports altogether. If you play year-round in one sport, you can get bored with the sport. However, when you rotate sports, you can get a break and come back refreshed, mentally and physically, for your next season. The National Scouting Report published an article titled Multi-Sport Athletes versus Single-Sport Athletes, reporting that single-sport athletes are significantly more prone to injuries due to overuse of specific muscles. For example, it is extremely common for pitchers in baseball to develop severe and sometimes career-ending elbow and shoulder injuries. These injuries are due to high repetitions of the same muscle group without proper rest. Even if you do not want to go on to play sport in college, you can still benefit from being a multi-sport athlete. In 2017, a man named Christopher Cole did a research study for his doctoral dissertation. This study showed that multi-sport athletes demonstrated improved GPAs, hours absent, and days suspended. Students involved in multiple disciplines must be efficient in the ways they manage their time so they don't fall behind in any of their classes. Busy student athletes tend to miss lessons during the season due to traveling for games. To keep up with the rest of the class, athletes may need to find new ways to learn or sometimes be able to teach themselves new concepts. Now that we have discussed the advantages of being a multi-sport athlete, we can now take a look at what coaches have to say. In a 2019 article published by the Lincoln Journal-Star, John Cook, the University of Nebraska head volleyball coach, stated how he wants strong and coachable multi-sport athletes. He loves recruiting multi-sport athletes so he can groom them into very impressive volleyball players. For example, some multi-sport athletes that have played big roles on the Husker volleyball court are Kelly Hunter, Jordan Larson, and Maddie Kubik. These girls all played multiple sports in high school. In fact, the freshman Maddie Kubik enrolled in college early and gave up her senior year at track to be part of the once every 4 years trip to Asia. In a personal interview with Drew Olson, the Concordia University head basketball coach, he stated how he prefers multi-sport athletes. Drew Olson wants players who are selfless, competitive, and skillful athletes. He believes multi-sport athletes are more competitive, have less burnout at the college level, and are less likely to be injured. It's not just volleyball and basketball coaches that are looking for multi-sport athletes. Football coaches also look for athletes who cross-train. In a 2019 interview with Fox football analyst and legendary coach Urban Meyer stated how there's much to be gained from playing multiple sports. Even if the athlete does not want to become the next Patrick Mahomes, participation is its own reward. Meyer goes on to say that playing multiple sports exposes the athlete to cross-training, different coaching styles, and different challenges and environment. This results in the athlete becoming a more competitive and well-rounded individual. Meyer also states that when he is scouting for football recruits, he makes sure to watch athletes in other sports, such as basketball and baseball. In a 2018 Tracking Football article, 88% of 2018 NFL draft picks were multi-sport athletes in high school. Now that we have discussed what coaches have to say, we can finally take a look at how we can encourage others to become multi-sport athletes. Being a multi-sport athlete myself, I promote young athletes to become multi-sport athletes. During the summer, I help coach 10 and under softball. Then during the school year, I help coach 3rd and 4th grade volleyball. I build a relationship with these athletes, and then I encourage them to join the volleyball team. According to the American Medical Society of Sports Medicine, 88% of NCAA Division I athletes played an average of 2 to 3 sports as children. By helping coaching, I am giving kids the opportunity to try different sports. This can help create passion and excitement and making it more likely that the child will become a multi-sport athlete in high school. When discussing multiple sports, it is also important that parents understand the significance of playing multiple sports. Parents can take their child to the pool, or volunteer to coach their soccer team, or even take them out to shoot hoops. By doing this, kids can see new and fun sports. Parents can also take their child to see an unfamiliar sporting event. Whether it is at the high school or college level, chances are if the child has fun, they are more likely to want to try this sport. When speaking about multiple sports, it is also important that schools help promote multi-sport athletes. When hiring coaches, schools should discuss with the candidates their views on multi-sport athletes. Coaches not only need to promote multiple sports, but also need to be understanding when the sport practices overlap. For example, boys basketball was still going on at the same time as track practice was going on. Both basketball and track coaches needed to be flexible and understanding of those who participate in both. Schools can also promote multi-sport athletes by creating incentive programs celebrating multi-sport athletes. These athletes may receive a special varsity pin or a piece of apparel that makes them stand out. Small schools are limited on their students. This is why it is important for athletes, coaches, and schools to promote multi-sport athletes. Today, we charged into the advantages of being a multi-sport athlete. Then we jumped into what coaches have to say. And finally, we slid into the solutions of how we can encourage others to become multi-sport athletes. One of my favorite quotes comes from future Hall of Fame wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald said, "I think one of the things that helped me most was playing everything. I played basketball, I played football, I ran track. I even played baseball and soccer. It helped me recruit different muscles and work on things that I normally wouldn't." After reading this quote and interviewing coaches, it's no wonder trainers, coaches, and athletes all recommend playing more than one sport.
Myths. Myths are not stories that are untrue. Rather, they are tales that don't fit neatly into the historical record, which serves as a foundation to a culture. Now let's try a little thought experiment. When I say the word dragons, what comes to mind? A large serpent-like creature that flies and has a long horse-like face. Some of you may be thinking of a terrifying monster, a cute toothless pet, or an auspicious sign of good luck. But where did these differing renditions of dragons actually come from? Today we're going to travel through time as we dig up the earliest historical accounts of dragons, uncover how dragons and religion actually did coexist, and piece together the different cultural adaptations given to dragons found around the world. Nearly every civilization on Earth has dragons of a creature that we might call a dragon. From the ancient Babylonian Mushushu, with its snake-like body and lion-like paws, to the ancient Egyptian snake god Apep, the enemy of Ra. Dragons have been around since the dawn of civilization, though they often predate what we might actually call civilization, for even older dragons can be found in the jade carvings of ancient Neolithic pottery of China. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent of the Aztecs of Mesoamerica, was depicted centuries before European sails even appeared on their shores. And the rainbow serpent of Aboriginal Australian faith is perhaps the oldest continually venerated deity in the entire world. From Jormungandr, the serpent of Viking myth, often depicted the head of all Viking vessels, to the venerable Japanese dragon Orochi. There's almost no place on Earth where we can't find dragon-like creatures. They're one of the first things that we as a species ever dreamt up, either to frighten us or protect us, either to save the world or destroy it. So why did our ancestors conjure up such creatures? According to LiveScience.com, last accessed February 4th, 2020, one cause is thought to be ophidiophobia, or the abnormal fear of snakes. It exists deep below our conscious mind in our amygdala, the part of our brain that plays a key role in processing emotions. So as a snake in our internal alarm system starts to go off. According to LiveScience.com, last accessed February 4th, 2020, ophidiophobia is the single most commonly reported phobia, and statistically more than 1/3 of the human population has some fear of snakes. So with this ancient primal urge, it makes sense that our ancestors conjured up powerful creatures or deities as dragons. Some of you seem a little put off by the use of deities and dragons in the same sentence. But actually much of what we've come to know and believe about dragons actually comes from religion. So today we're going to go back to some of the earliest historical accounts and run-ins of dragons and religion. According to the Ancient History Encyclopedia found at ancienthistory.edu, last accessed February 4th, 2020, in ancient times, Yinglong was depicted as one of the first dragons to ever be historically recorded, and all other dragons in Chinese stories are thought to be his descendants. It was Yinglong who is said to have helped Yao Emperor Huangdi defeat the rebel Qi Yu. But since he killed people, he wasn't allowed to go back to heaven and was forced to stay on Earth and live at the South Pole. Yinglong was also said to have helped control the Great Flood sent from heaven to punish the people of China. Another intermingling of myth and religion can be found in the Buddhist faith. According to learnreligions.org, last accessed February 4th, 2020, in the small town of Enoshima, it was said that a vicious 5-headed dragon was responsible for the hardships of the surrounding towns. until the benevolent goddess Benzaitin came down from above to soothe the dragon's rage, and in repentance he lay down on the ground and became part of the land. Hard to believe, but even Christianity has some depictions of dragon-like creatures found throughout its teachings. In the Old Testament, we read about a creature known as Azazel, a demon associated as the serpent from hell. In Abraham chapter 42, verses 15, Azazel is depicted as having 7 heads, 14 faces, the hands and feet of a man, and on his back 6 wings on the right and 6 on the left. Abraham was quoted as saying, "The wicked will putrefy in the belly of the wicked worm Azazel and be burned by the fires of his tongue." Another dragon-like creature can be found in Psalms. Psalms chapter 72, verses 1, we read about a creature known as the Leviathan, a multi-headed serpent that was slain by God and given as food to the Hebrews wandering throughout the wilderness. In Isaiah chapter 42, verses 12, the Leviathan is a multi-headed serpent and a symbol of the enemies of Israel. The term dragon can actually be found a total of 21 times throughout the Old Testament. Like languages, beliefs, even clothing styles, where you're from can have a huge impact on what you view to be correct, or what you might view as a true dragon. The same, like from llama heads to goat horns, we all know that the different depictions of dragons found around the world can vary greatly as you go around it. So today we're going to condense it down to some of the most iconic styles of dragons you can find and where they are from. First, we will discuss the type of dragon you are more than likely to be familiar with. European dragons are usually depicted as evil, mean, fire-breathing creatures that look like a cross between a snake and an alligator, with sharp spines, legs, rough scales, the ability to breathe fire, and large bat-like wings. They're usually depicted in varying tones of green. Asian-style dragons, unlike their European cousins, are usually depicted as kind, signs of good luck, without wings, legs, or the ability to breathe fire, but possess the power to magically fly through the clouds. The third type of dragon, ironically, sometimes isn't even recognized as a dragon, for African-style dragons are usually depicted with 2 legs, if any at all. One dragon, Edo, was said to have created the mountains throughout Africa and nurtured the world with his droppings. But it's also said that one day he will return to destroy the world that he created. So between Edo and Apep, the enemy of Ra, African-style dragons are usually depicted as evil, mean, fire-breathing creatures, much like their European cousins. From the earliest Neolithic drawings, the amazing animations of today, dragons have taken on an almost otherworldly appeal in modern society. Today we have dug up the earliest historical accounts of dragons, uncovered how dragons and religion actually did coexist, and pieced together the different cultural adaptations given to dragons found around the world. Whether or not they're breathing fire or helping orphans by singing a pretty show tune, it's apparent that dragons will continue to intrigue, amaze, and yes, scare us for many years to come.
I thought I could be Technicolor for just one night, just like Cinderella. My night of reverie would fade by morning, and I hadn't even been clever enough to leave behind a sneaker for my prince. Color, Technicolor, look all around you. The room is a rainbow mixture full of color. At an early age, children learn to respond to the popular question, "So what's your favorite color?" For Mary, an albino teenage girl, she learned that from an early age, her favorite color had better be white, and her favorite bedtime story must surely be Snow White. Snow White by Grace Hugh. I remember when I was 6 years old, I heard my mother behind the bedroom door, sobbing, "My baby, my poor baby. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault." She was holding the package of school portraits that I had just brought home from school. Scientifically, the way I see it, it's both their faults. They are both heterozygous carriers with a 1 in 4 chance of producing a homozygous albino individual. My 2 older brothers turned out tan and freckled. Then bingo, they hit the genetic jackpot with me. The kids in my class have learned to be mean in that silent adult way. No, actually, most of them aren't mean. They're more semi-apathetic. That is, they don't really care. They're just glad they're not me. Anyway, I have only one true friend, Karen. But sometimes you'll find that one good friend is really all you need. Anyway, Karen is the reason I've been eating lunch in the school library. She started dating a rather popular individual and started eating lunch with him and all of his friends. The whole first week of her relationship, she would come looking for me, and I hide. I don't want to be the reason that she can't make any more friends, and I'd rather avoid some sort of awkward conversation about the whole matter. Anyway, I was quite successful at the time. I would hide, and she ceased to seek. Well, at least at school anyway. But Karen wasn't ready to give up on me one day. Karen followed me home from school. Hey, Mary, look, listen. I'm sorry I missed you at school yesterday. What are you doing next Friday? Halloween. Dressing up, scaring people, as always. Well, listen to this. I'm having a party. It's a masquerade party. Oh, you're coming. I don't know. Oh, come on. It'll be fun. You can come early and help me decorate. Okay. I'll go, but I can't come early. My costume takes too long to put together. What have I gotten myself into? Other Halloweens I dressed up in expected costumes. Lady Macbeth, albino killer rabbit, and teenage mutant zombie. But this year, I decided on a different type of costume. I decided to dress up as a life-size, atomically correct cheerleader, brain cells not included. Indirectly, my mother had been helping me out with my costume. Up in the attic, in her cedar chest, was her white and blue cheerleading uniform. I remember looking at an old photo we had where it looked marvelous on her. That's when I decided I wanted to look just like her. We were built alike. Our faces, they did look similar. I could use some hair dye, her base, and her blush, but what about my colorless eyes? Material girls, you're in luck. If you have to be the white rabbit off of Alice in Wonderland, at least you are in the age of color contacts. Finally, Halloween came. I raced home after school. I went up to the bathroom and I locked the door. I dyed my hair a sassy blonde, began smudging on a creamy alabaster beige all over my face and neck. I popped 2 beautiful irises onto my own. I blinked in the mirror. I couldn't believe that that was me. I saw my mother in the mirror, the way she looked in that group portrait up in the attic. Well, I'm ready for this masquerade party. As soon as I got to Karen's house, I took a deep breath. And I knocked on the door. Oh, how I hoped the perspiration wouldn't make my makeup come off. I slowly stepped in the door. Immediately, I was surrounded by people. A few said hi. Clearly, they did not recognize me. Then all of a sudden, I was surrounded by masked men who weren't the Lone Ranger. I spotted Karen over by the punch bowl, and I went over to her. Mary, is that you? Wow, you look marvelous. You really are something, you know? As the party continued, I found myself relaxing and talking to people. I was actually having a good time. It must have been around midnight. There was a sudden uproar of laughter and commotion at the door. I looked up to see a boy from my school coming. He was wearing an equally white shoulder-length wig on his head, and his face, it was painted white. He was wearing the Mr. Bubble t-shirt, just like the one I wore to school every Monday. Somebody laughed. Hey, Karen, look, your best friend just arrived. We couldn't have a party without Gasper the friendly ghost paying us a visit now, could we? Hot tears rushed fierce into my eyes. I pushed my way through the crowd and out the door. I could have run forever, but after 3 blocks, my house pulled up in front of me. I went up to the bathroom and I locked the door. I scrubbed my face as hard as I could. I washed my hair 3 times, but it only faded to a sickly pink. And then I grabbed the scissors from the cabinet and I began to cut my hair. And then, when there was only an inch left, I grabbed the razor and I shaved the rest of my hair. What did it matter that I was Technicolor for one night? Just like Cinderella, my night of reverie would fade by morning, and I hadn't even been clever enough to leave behind a sneaker for my prince. I put on my favorite t-shirt, and I climbed into bed. I don't think I jumped at all that night. The next morning, Karen came by my house. Come on, Mary, it's me, Karen. Open up. You shaved your head? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, you still look beautiful. You want to go downtown and scare all the old sales ladies? Okay.
I just lost a contact for the second time today, so if I look at you kind of funny, that's why. I like to preface my speech a little bit because extemp is kind of weird. My event is a limited prep event, so when I go to a speech meet, I don't know what I'm going to talk about until I get there. Each round you get to draw 3 topics. They're usually politically or international relations motivated, and so they're kind of crazy. I've had some pretty weird ones this year. One about the coronavirus, actually. But then you don't get to use the internet to prepare for the topic. You get an hour. With no internet, I usually spend like 20 minutes writing it and then 40 minutes practicing it, and then you give it, and you have to do that every round. It's kind of annoying. But this one I did at conference. It was like my first or second round, I think, and I'm pretty sure I got first in that round. But I don't remember it, so we'll see how this goes. Also, the sources in this, if this is like on YouTube or you're gonna like watch it again, are not right. Most people except don't use accurate sources just because we don't really have the information. But I can guarantee you the information in here is right. Just like the names of people and like where it came from is probably not. So, just so you know. There are many humanitarian crises going on in the world today. And no, I'm not talking about the coronavirus. I'm not going to make you listen to a whole speech about that. But there are many other crises going on. There's one in Venezuela, and Brazil, and Nicaragua, and Hong Kong. You guys may have seen on the news before all of what's on the news right now, images of the government in Hong Kong firing tear gas and rubber balls at its own citizens, which is obviously very alarming. But there are some other crises in the world that we don't even hear about. And one of these is the humanitarian crisis in the country of Burkina Faso. Today I was posed with the question, what is at the root of the violence in Burkina Faso? Well, there are 3 main things that are causing the crisis in this country. First, a climate crisis. Second, extremist organizations. And finally, a tightening of press freedoms in the country. The first thing that is leading to the violence in Burkina Faso is a climate crisis. According to Christian Boeg in a Brookings Institute article that was released on December 4th last year, the country of Burkina Faso is located in Sahel, which is a region in West Africa. There are a couple other countries that are also located in the region, such as Chad, Mali, and Senegal. This is one of the poorest and driest regions in the world, and according to BOIG, it's also one of the fastest growing. It's predicted that by 2045, the number of people in the country will actually completely double. But BOIG also tells us that, unfortunately, the country won't be able to feed these people. BOIG says that there is a growing climate crisis that's happening in the Sahel region in West Africa. The climate in that country is increasing by 1.5 times the rate of the climate increase in the rest of the world. And BOIG says that since the 1970s, drought within the Sahel region has increased exponentially. And then within the last few years, a lot of the precipitation in the region has become extremely unpredictable. And we, as Midwestern Americans, know that when you combine dry or frozen land with lots of unprecedented rain, you get floods. So all of these people in the country are losing a lot of their land, and this isn't good because 4/5 of these people actually depend on farming as their main source of income. According to Karen McVie in an article that was published by The Guardian on November 20th of last year, 860,000 people left the country of Burkina Faso from the beginning of 2019 until November 20th when the article was released. Most of these people left because they were unable to support their families because they couldn't farm anymore. However, 486,000 of these people left for another reason. That leads me to my second point. The second thing that is at the root of the violence in Burkina Faso is extremist organizations. According to the aforementioned Guardian article, between 2016 and 2017, a number of jihadist terrorist organizations that were located in Mali, which borders Burkina Faso, crossed over the border and invaded Burkina Faso. They were pretty quiet from 2017 into 2019, when McVie tells us the deaths of civilians because of the terrorist organization increased by 4.4 times the rate they were in 2018. People are being shot at markets when they go to get the food that they can't grow on their own farms, and for this reason, all the schools in the country are currently closed, including all universities. One of these instances happened prior to December 24th. According to another Guardian article that was released on December 24th of last year, one of these shootings happened in Soum province, which is in the northern part of Burkina Faso, which is where a lot of the shootings are taking place. At the military base that is located in this region, 35 innocent civilians were shot, and 31 of these were women. These things are happening frequently in the country, and for this reason, a lot of the citizens are rioting, and a lot of them are leaving as well, which is contributing to the crisis in the country. The final thing that is at the root of the violence in Burkina Faso is the tightening of press freedoms in the country. According to Human Rights Watch, back in 2016, Burkina Faso was actually the 5th African country for press freedoms. However, the Human Rights Watch organization tells us that this is decreasing very quickly. According to a Global Observatory article that was written by Anna Link on September 9th of last year, there was recently a law put into place around the summer of 2019 that makes it a criminal act to demoralize the Defense Department of Burkina Faso by any media organization. Now, when this law was first put into place, a lot of people didn't really understand it, and some people were violating it without even knowing. These people were charged with up to 7,000 euro fines, and unfortunately, according to the aforementioned Brookings Institute article, the average person who lives in Burkina Faso only makes $1.90 a day, so they would never be able to pay off a fine of 7,000 euros. However, these laws were cleared up a little bit. Link tells us that René Bagaro, who is a military official in Burkina Faso, eventually came around and said that people that belong to the media are not allowed to talk about the position of the military in Burkina Faso. They're not allowed to show any pictures of people fleeing. They're not allowed to show any pictures of the military, and they're not allowed to say anywhere that the army is losing. This leads to a lot of very inaccurate information in the country, and it's caused a lot of problems. Many people who live in some parts of the country have family that live in other parts, and they're completely unaware of what's happening to them, and sometimes even uncertain about what's happening in their own communities, because they can't have accurate information. For this reason, they're fleeing and rioting and contributing to the violence in the country. Today, I would pose with the question, what is at the root of the violence in Burkina Faso? And I told you that there are three main things: a climate crisis,
a number of extremist groups, and a tightening of press freedoms in the country. Now hopefully what's going on in the world right now can calm down a little bit, so we can maybe get some humanitarian aid to these people.
Okay, here we go. I'm ready. Game on! No! They're everywhere! They're everywhere! Oh, I'm hit! Ping, you were supposed to cover me! Why, Ping, why? No! I'm alone. I haven't been outside in 3 days. I can't remember the last time I talked to another human face to face. My blood is now a mixture of Monster, Mountain Dew, and Red Bull. And it's awesome!
Hello.
Who are you?
I'm here to help you.
You have cheat codes?
No, I don't
I
have.
need the codes, yeah. Wait, are you my fairy godmother?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I am a hallucination. 22 hours of video games has caused your brain to hemorrhage, and therefore, I have appeared to you. It's time to start living in the real world.
But I don't like the real world.
Well, it's clear to me, and just about everyone else, is that you need to find a girlfriend, and I'm here to show you exactly what not to do. He's too short.
Her nose is too big.
It's me, not you.
I can't do a long-distance relationship anymore.
I'm allergic to commitment.
Yes, we've all been there. After hours of playing video games, this teenager hallucinates a spirit who guides him to find true romance in the world of dating.
It gets a little tricky, especially with the possibility of being
Crushed by tonsillitis.
What
is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more.
Lesson number 1. Do not show desperation.
Okay, close your eyes.
Where are we going?
I have a surprise for you.
I'm so excited!
All right, open them.
You drew that for me?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that my nostrils, they flared so much.
Oh, they do. But in a very attractive manner. Okay, now close your eyes again. All right, open them.
What is that?
It's a doll made out of your hair. You see, last year when I sat behind you in English class, I would carefully pluck some of the hair out of your head. And when I gathered enough of it, I brought it home and I made this doll. It was such a comfort to me on the days when you didn't know I existed. I love you. I will just hold it, cuddle it. I'm a big snuggler.
I need to go!
Wait, can I have some of your fingernail clippings?
Ew. Lesson number 2. Do not go into the friend zone.
You got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, Oh, baby!
Hey, Brad. Mwah, mwah. Thanks for coming over. You can just set that down right there.
Yeah, sure thing.
So, hey, me and my friends are having a party tomorrow night.
I'd love to come.
Great. We really need a doorman. We're trying to do this really fancy. So, you don't happen to have a white tuxedo, do you?
Well, no, but
Well, it would be really great if you could go rent one for yourself.
yeah, I guess I could do that.
You know, I didn't just ask you to come over here and do my algebra homework. There's something really important important I want to ask you.
Really?
It's just that you're such a smart and sensitive guy, and you're so much nicer than any of the other guys I would normally go for.
Oh, I know. They're all horrible jerks.
Not like you. You were sweet.
Oh, thank you.
You would never cheat on me with 6 members of the girls' volleyball team like the last guy I dated, or tell me that I need to lose 7 pounds like the guy before that. I should really date more guys just like you.
You should.
I owe it to myself.
You do.
Which is why I want to ask you to help me write this letter to a new guy I like. His name is Chad, and he has a great car. He likes to party all the time with his friends, and this one girl told me he was a complete jerk, but I see something really wonderful underneath, so will you help me write this letter to him?
You want me to write the letter?
You're just so good with words. Will you do it?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Oh, you're such a great friend.
Oh.
We have the best friendship ever. It's so great to be friends with a guy who knows he's going to stay your friend forever. And there will never be anything romantic at all between you because he would want to ruin the amazing, fabulous friendship that you have. Let's hug! Lesson number 3. Do not be too romantic.
And I will always love you.
Dad, I'm home.
Hello, April.
Nice.
Indeed.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I'm old-fashioned. I plan on courting you. I just received permission from your father. Oh, allow me to present you with this packet of crushed jasmine. When you sniff it, oh, think of me. May I take your hand?
No.
Oh, I did compose the sonnet for you.
I don't want to hear your sonnet.
Here, you're gonna love it. April, your name is the same as the mouth you were born in, and I love you like the dolphin with its dorsal fin. Ah! Oh, smells like some kind of a vanilla thing. Your beauty explodes my insides like a rocket-propelled grenade, scattering the remnants of my internal organs like a rain of love and...
That is a gross poem.
Though we shall compose a new one together. I have been made mad by your beauty.
I'm leaving.
So let me get this straight. Don't be desperate, don't get friend-zoned, and also don't involve the parents. Okay, seems like pretty sound advice. So let me guess, the last one is don't be a jerk.
You really never met any girls, have you?
I've met plenty. Online. Or at least people who say they're girls.
Well, being a jerk has nothing to do with whether or not a girl will date you.
But all of my friends say they want a guy who's sensitive.
Really? Your friends tell you that? Last lesson. Do not be sensitive.
Near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the heart does go on.
So what did you think of the movie?
It was just so beautiful. Really? Yeah, that part where they like got back together at the end, and he gave her the same piano she used to have as a little girl. It was magical.
Yeah, I like that part. Are you okay?
Sorry, let me get a hold of myself. It's just moments like that remind me that there's so much beauty in the world if you just let it into your soul.
Yeah, I was totally thinking the same thing. So, where do you want to go eat?
We should go to Olive Garden. They have some great breadsticks. Oh! I just realized something. Your name is Olivia, and our first date was at the Olive Garden. It's like fate! Yeah!
What?
I was just remembering our first date. Oh, we were so young.
It was last month.
So young! And now we've been dating for 39 days. We'll never have those days back. They're gone! What happens to the past? Does anyone know?
I think it just disappears.
No! I want to fall in love with you all over again. I want to smell butterflies with you.
I don't think they have a smell.
I wanted to give you this.
No. You adopted a starving third world child for me!
Her name's Olivia. She has your eyes. And with my help, and just 99 cents a day. I keep you here alive.
You really didn't need to do that.
Oh, it's just my way of giving back to the world, of supporting life,
What now?
I just realized that I'll never be a mother.
You're a guy!
I can't have maternal feelings. I'll never know what it's like to have a baby on my own.
Oh, that's just a little weird.
I borrowed this from the home ec department.
What is that?
It's a sympathy suit. It allows us to experience what it's like to carry around extra pregnancy weight. I just feel so guilty that you won't have to go through that. And I just roam around like a monster and never even caring about
Stop!
anything. I just want to get in touch with my feminine side.
I don't want you to be in touch with your feminine side. In fact, sit! I don't want you to have a feminine side at all. I want you to crush soda cans against your head and make gross jokes with your friends. I want you to be a totally unfeeling rock of a human being with no internet whatsoever. That's what I'm looking for!
More?
Yes!
That really hurts my feelings. Abandoned with a starving third world child and a baby on the way.
So there. Now you know everything.
But how can I attract a girl?
Well, let's start with appearance.
Maybe there is a girl out there who will look past my unathletic, pasty exterior and find the nuggets of gold on the inside.
Not a chance. But there's still hope for you. A recent study has shown that your attractiveness is directly related to your facial expressions.
Really? Girls are that shallow?
Not quite as shallow as you, but still, yeah, pretty shallow.
So, as long as I keep smiling, they'll like me?
You are a moron. Smiling makes you less attractive. Studies show that women view men who appear haughty and arrogant as more attractive.
That can't be true.
Have you seen the poster for Twilight? Watch as I demonstrate.
Ta-da!
Total loser. Not that cute. Ooh, who's that? Hey there, hottie.
Wow!
I think it's time for you to start getting ready for your date, but first, you need to go change your clothes.
What's wrong with my ketchup-stained Fortnite shirt and, ta-da, my Crocs? Look at 'em.
No, you look like the next competitor on an extreme makeover show. Let's see, should I call Ellen? That's a date.
I'm extremely fashionable.
Well, I wouldn't say fashionable. I'd say more pungent.
I have a solution.
Oh, I hope he's talking about a shower. What is that smell?
Here's some feel-good freshness from my Act Body Spray. Do you want some?
No! Haven't I taught you anything? You're a terrible student. Where did you...
Gotcha!
Fine! Be only forever! Again, thanks for coming out and watching all of their hard work they put into it this year.
Thank you, Steele.
Yeah.